Donald Trump is reportedly preparing a reaction force that will deal with civil unrest, which, let's be honest, is going to be leftist civil unrest. They're already calling him a fascist, saying he's taking over D.C. because Trump was like, hey, perhaps murder is bad. Maxine Waters, everyone's favorite, is once again screaming, this will be a civil war. How silly. Could you imagine being someone claiming there's a potential civil war on the horizon? That kind of person must be so embarrassed to say it over and over again. Anyway, we're going to talk about that. We got a bunch of other stories. YouTube's testing AI, algorithm, age verification. And there's a funny story out of the UK where lady cops dressed in, let's just call it scantily clad outfits, and then arrested men who catcalled them. Because that's the state of lady cops and the UK. Before we get started, my friends, we got some great sponsors. We got Beam Dream. Dude, I absolutely love Beam Dream. I love it so much. We hit them up and we're like, guys, you got to send us more because I drink this every single night. It helps you sleep. It's got everything you need in it to help you sleep better. It's got melatonin. It's got L-theanine. It's got magnesium. And I got to tell you, I got in the groove. I drink it every single night. And after about a week, it really kicked in the best sleep I've ever had. I'm not kidding. I thought I was sleeping okay. And my sleep tracker gives me a good score. Yo, since I've been drinking it consistently, I lay down, within a few minutes, I'm asleep like a rock. I wake up feeling like $1,000,000 with lightning surging through me. I genuinely, I love Beam Dream. And shout out, James O'Keefe was here and he was like, hey, wait, I love this stuff. I drink this too. So guys, go to shopbeam.com. It's BEAM and get Beam Dream. Use code TIMPOOL and you'll get 35% off. The cinnamon cocoa is absolutely my favorite. They got a brownie batter one that's really good. But you gotta keep taking it and get into the groove. I'm not kidding, man. When you sleep, your REM sleep and your deep sleep is when your body's producing, it's regulating your hormones. So for guys, that's testosterone, HGH. This is what helps you. A lot of people are asking, why can't I lose weight or why can't I gain muscle? Because sleep matters and this stuff rocks. So shout out to Beam Dream. Again, that's shopbeam.com. Use promo code TIMPOOL. We also got Alio Capital. My friends, have you noticed how confusing and divided the world feels these days, whether it's politics, money, just daily life? The truth is, a lot of this comes down to not really understanding how the money world works. I know I feel a bit lost. Before I figured out how this stuff, I've been tracking all the weird money stuff for a long time. We did a funny short about it. Yeah. Anyway, I want to tell you guys about Alio Capital, their app. It's built by the people who know how who get how global events affect your money. Imagine an app that keeps an eye on things like inflation, interest rates, stuff that actually changes what's in your pocket and automatically tweaks your investment so you don't have to stress about it. Smart, it's easy, and it works for you, whether you want to get hands-on or just set it and forget it. It's great to have something that really just tracks the big picture, and their app absolutely is fantastic. But remember, every investment has risks. There's nothing's a sure thing. I do like Alio. These guys, we've had him on the show. We've talked to him before. It's very interesting stuff. Standard text fees apply. This is a paid ad, but make sure you guys go to the Google Play Store. You download the Alio app, check it out, learn what you can, try and make the best decisions you can. But you can also text Tim to 511-511, and that's ALLIO Capital. Again, you can text Tim to 511-511 and learn more about this and check it out. Shout out, thanks for sponsoring the show, guys. And don't forget, smash the like button. Share the show with everyone you know. We'd greatly appreciate it. Joining us, what are you doing over there, Serge? Serge, oh, that didn't sound like that. That sounded like something else. Anyway, now Phil's laughing. Smash the like button. Share the show if you do like the show. You can follow me, of course, on X and Instagram at Timcast. Joining us tonight to talk about this and so much more is Colonel West.
Good to be back. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Who are you? What do you do?
Well, I'm a 22-year veteran, United States Army, 13 different countries, 3 different combat zones. Did a stint and a tour up at United States House of Representatives, but now currently the executive director for the American Constitutional Rights Union. Been around since 1999. We're kind of the bulwark against the ACLU, and also the chairman of the Dallas County Republican Party.
Right on. Well, thanks for hanging out. This should be interesting. Elaad is here.
Good evening, everybody. I am Elaad Eliyahu, the White House correspondent here. Mr. West, that is a very impressive resume. Hopefully we could get a little bit more into your background.
I just went to ChatGPT, and it did it for me.
Tell me why I'm so great.
Hello, everybody. My name's Phil Labonte. I'm the lead singer of the heavy metal band All That Remains. I'm an anti-communist and a counter-revolutionary. Let's get into it.
Here's the story from the Washington Post. Pentagon plan would create military reaction force for civil unrest. Documents reviewed by the Post detail a prospective National Guard mission that, if adopted, would require hundreds of troops to be ready around the clock. I am so happy to hear this. Because what did we all complain about in 2020? Trump wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
The riots were rampaging across the country, and Donald Trump was like, no, we're going to let the states handle it, and that proved to not work. They say the Trump admin is evaluating plans to establish a domestic civil disturbance quick reaction force composed of hundreds of National Guard troops tasked with rapidly deploying into American cities facing protests or other unrest, according to internal Pentagon documents reviewed by the Post. The plan calls for 600 troops to be on standby at all times, so they can deploy in as little as 1 hour. They would be split into two groups of 300 and stationed at military bases in Alabama and Arizona, with purview of regions east and west of the Mississippi River, respectively. Cost projections outlined in the documents indicate that such a mission, if the proposal is adopted, could stretch into the hundreds of millions of dollars should military aircraft and air crews also be required to be ready around the clock. The proposal, which has not been previously reported, represents another potential expansion of President Donald Trump's willingness to employ the armed forces on American soil. Spare me, dude. They become apoplectic. Barack Obama during the Trayvon Martin BLM riots, during the Michael Brown riots, we had the National Guard deployed. They didn't bat an eye. They said, oh, yeah, well, I guess they're deploying the National Guard. Nobody cried about this. I was on the streets in Ferguson talking to National Guardsmen as they were deployed to deal with the unrest. Why now are they pretending like they're so outraged?
Well, it reminds me of when all of a sudden SEAL Team 6 was Dick Cheney's personal assassination squad. Then all of a sudden when SEAL Team 6 goes in and takes out Osama bin Laden because Barack Obama's president, they're the best thing since sliced bread. And, of course, we saw all the movies that are made. It's always the rules for thee, but not for me. And so what is the purpose of the National Guard? That's the purpose of what the National Guard is supposed to do. And anytime you're going to deploy, and anytime you have flashpoints, anytime you have criminal illegal immigrants, anytime you have a Trinidad or some of these other terrorist organizations operating within the country, there's nothing wrong with having a quick reaction force. Being a commander in Iraq, if we put people out on a mission, on a patrol, whatever, guess what we had? A quick reaction force in case they got into any type of troubling situation. They could pick up and call, and you could push those resources down there. Wouldn't it have been great to have a quick reaction force out in Portland when they were, shooting at the cops out there, when they were setting firebombing federal buildings and things of this nature? So the left, once again, this is the Marxist mindset, is that we want the ability to go out and create fear, intimidation, coercion, and conduct and enact violence, and we don't want to be challenged.
Yeah, I mean, look, the left has made it pretty clear in the past decade that it's not what the policy is, it's who's instituting the policy. So if it's Barack Obama or Joe Biden doing something, whatever the policy may be, the left will be for it. If it's Donald Trump, the left will be against it. And I assume that after Donald Trump, if there's a Republican president, it'll be the same thing. The Republicans decide they want to do something, the left is all against it. If it's a Democrat that wants to do something, left is all for it.
I think this is a smart idea because, to be frank, most police departments around the country are underfunded and underprepared for riot-type situations. Most of these police departments aren't set up in a way where they are prepared to address, hundreds of people who are protesting and rioting and also dealing with the crime that's there, say for maybe the NYP and LAPD. In New York City, they have a specific department called the SRG. It's the Strategic Response Group that are especially there, and they are on call to be able to react within an hour to any riot-type situation in the city. That happens relatively often, and they're very effective at doing that, but that's because the NYPD has the funding to do that. It's night and day seeing these riots happen in New York City versus out of New York City and out of LA. I think this could prevent a lot of violence and damage happening around here, but it's something we need to consider because I think a lot of police departments haven't really been up to full strength ever since the defund the police movement.
No, absolutely, and we see that down in Dallas where I am, and you look at the crime, how it's spiked in the capital of Texas, in Austin. So yes, there's nothing wrong with having this flex force. But isn't it interesting that the guy running to be the next mayor of New York City has said he wants to get rid of that SRG? He didn't bump his gums too much after they just had that shooting up there.
Well, I mean, he also says he wants to tax white people, and he also says that he's going to defy federal authority and the will of the American voter by protecting non-citizens in his jurisdiction. So, at this point, we were briefly talking about this as we're getting ready for the show, doing pre-production and stuff. Democrats are not going to stop.
No.
They're screaming the end is nigh. They're screaming Trump is fascist, and literally no matter what he does, he's Hitler. I'm at the point where I just don't care anymore, right? They in 2020, we had the worst riots in 50 years, billions of dollars in damages, and they said, who cares, insurance will pay for it, which is not true.
No.
And, I see a funny post where it was actually really funny. A friend of mine posted this. A liberal was saying, I don't want to give SNAP benefits to people who are going to buy sugary drinks and soda. And the liberals are arguing that we should give poor people sugary drinks and soda now. I'm like, it's bizarro world. There's clearly no logic behind any of their activism. You want poor people to be sickly and malnourished? Let's give them protein bars, not soda.
Well, and that comes back to think about how COVID was racist because for whatever reason, more black people were dying. Well, if you have certain comorbidities, such as the high blood pressure, the heart disease, the diabetes, all of these things that, oh, by the way, when you're not, drinking all these sugary drinks and all these bad foods that they have flooded into the communities, and now you can use the EBT card, it's not even called food stamp anymore, to get this, they really don't care. But they are very good at going out and, as we talked about, projecting who they are on someone else. I don't call them Democrats anymore. They're Marxists, they're leftists, and what they want to do is create the chaos and confusion. They support lawlessness, and when you stand up against them when it comes to lawlessness, and coming back to what you're saying, any time that you do something that opposes them, you're a threat to democracy.
Do you guys know what prion disease is?
Prion's disease? I've heard
Prion
of it.
disease.
I'm not sure what it is.
So there's various kinds of diseases. Deer, for instance, if they eat like the rotted remains of other deer or something like that. It's the brain. It causes prions, which are malformed proteins, to enter the body, which results in other proteins that the new proteins that are being formed in the body to be malformed. And if they're not formed properly, they can't integrate properly, and you start dying. Isn't mad cow disease? Is that what you said? Yeah, mad cow disease. I kind of feel like that's what we're seeing largely with leftists. It's a malformed civic ideology behind them. It doesn't integrate with anything. It makes literally no sense. And there's no point in arguing with it. It doesn't function. Mm-hmm. And so when we say things like riots are bad and destroy people's lives and they defend the riots, something is wrong. When we say we want to help poor people, we do. We want to lift people from poverty, so they should stop having sugary drinks. And they go, no, we want them to have sugary drinks. I'm like, but that's making them sick. It's increasing all of these comorbidities and obesity and diabetes, and they just want the opposite of what makes sense. What Trump is doing with a reaction force, it's only a couple hundred guys.
Yes.
And they're screaming the apocalypse. I just say, stop caring. Just stop caring. Trump, do what must be done to make the system work. Those that know and care and are paying attention are behind you. And we'll fix and clean up these streets. Look, 27 murders per 100,000 in D.C., putting it in the top 10, number 8. Some argue a little bit higher, of the worst homicide rates in the country, and it's our nation's capital.
And in the world.
And in the world. And there was a story I just heard, I think it was Seb Gorka told me this, an armed FBI agent was carjacked.
Yeah.
Our law enforcement is getting robbed by people. Come on, we got to stop it.
Well, like I said, it was just, 2 or 3 weeks ago, you had an off-duty ICE officer that was shot in the face,
Wow.
2 criminal illegal immigrants. So, I mean, how can someone say, I want to be the mayor of a city where I don't want ICE officers to come and remove these type of people off the streets? How can anyone sit and support folks to say, America is not a sovereign nation. We don't have borders to protect or defend. We're just going to allow any and everybody to come in here. How can anyone I remember that line when Martha Raddatz said to J.D. Vance during an interview, what are you making a big deal about? It's just a couple of apartment buildings. That's how they rationalize, and that's how they normalize everything. We should be incensed that you have illegal immigrants, members of a gang unit, in this country with weapons and going through an apartment building. But these are the exact same people, Tim and guys, that will say, we don't want you guys, the legal law-abiding citizens, to have weapons. We don't want the police out on the streets, but we don't have any problem with criminal legal immigrants running around this country with weapons.
Yeah. We're in a weird time in this country where crime is bad. And the argument is, in some ways, it was worse before, so it's okay that it's happening now. And I don't know why we tolerate that degree of crime. And people are acting like Donald Trump federalizing the police in D.C. is martial law or fascist takeover. It's not. It's a federal district.
Yes.
And Trump has the authority to do so under the Home Rule Act, and he's commanding a police department that already exists. Deploying the National Guard to deal with rampant unrest is constitutional and and codified. This is not even the Insurrection Act. Trump has the authority to deploy the National Guard in times of unrest, and if the laws are not being enforced against, he can actually invoke the Insurrection Act and send in the troops. Is the argument that we should allow crime, murder, rape, etc. in our country because we're scared of policing?
Well, I mean, I don't think that's the argument the left's making. I think that the argument that the left is making is just, counter Donald Trump. They don't make any actual policy arguments. They just say, oh, well, whatever Trump says is either not happening or it's good that it's happening. I mean, we've been down the list of the it's not happening. It's good that it's happening. That's standard from the left. So it's just counter whatever the conservatives or Donald Trump is saying. And it's been that way for a decade now.
Yeah. Well, let's jump to this next story. We got this from the Washington Examiner. This may shock you all, but Maxine Waters, a Democrat rep, says Trump is leading the U.S. to civil war. I can't believe she would say something like that for the fifth time. In fact, this is really funny. She did just say it. This report is from August 12th. And when you Google search it, she said it so many times that there's tons of articles. So don't get mad at me. Maxine Waters is a Democrat rep, and she's saying it. So Maxine Waters said Trump is risking a civil war by not allowing Congress members to visit ICE detention centers. She visited the Metropolitan Detention Center and DHS field office in L.A. Waters, Gomez, and Chu were previously denied entry. We get it. Blah, blah, blah. Here we go. For real? We're going to keep doing this? Here's Trump is working towards a civil war. Democrats are screaming, especially with the takeover in D.C., that Trump is taking over cities with authoritarian force. They're arguing that we are going to find ourselves in, as Maxine Waters says, some kind of civil war. And she's not the only one who said it. Obviously, I don't think I disagree. But, I would disagree on that Trump is doing it. The point, I guess, is that with what we're seeing now, Beto O'Rourke recently came out and said, screw the rules.
Yes.
They're kicking us in the balls and punching us in the face. So we got to do whatever we have to do to win. And, we'll get into the bigger part of that story next. But they are acting like Trump has started this conflict, despite the fact this all started when Hillary Clinton and the Obama administration accused Donald Trump of being a traitor to his country and working with the Russians to undermine the will of the American people, launched an investigation against him. Ultimately, it led to 2 impeachments, the arrest of his lawyers, the arrest of him, the raid on his home with lethal force authorized. And Trump now says, okay, let's get to the bottom of what happened. And they say, oh, look what he's doing. Look what he started.
Well, that's, again, the means by which they project things against you. When they say everybody else is a fascist, and then what is Antifa? Antifa is going around beating up people because they're saying things that they don't like to be said. So they're the real fascists. And Maxine Waters, my hair was all black until the first time I saw her, and it started to go gray up there on Capitol Hill. But, she's the same person that also said Trump's going to start a nuclear war with North Korea. Yeah. It is always, anytime Republicans or Donald Trump comes up with something, now the big, beautiful bill is going to kill hundreds of people, millions of people. The only thing that has killed hundreds of millions of people in this world is socialism, progressivism, communism, Marxism. We can go back and look at that. And furthermore, the only political party that started a civil war in the United States of America was the Democrat Party. Maybe she needs to do a little history study. So if we come back and look at who they are and what they stand for, they're trying to push us to this brink, because everything about them is about totalitarianism, it's about power, it's about control, and they'll be damned if anyone can stand in their way. Donald Trump is their number one nemesis.
No, I want to push back a little bit.
Okay.
I know it's contentious to argue who started the Civil War, but I think there is an interesting parallel to today with what Democrats did. And the Democrats in 1861, before Lincoln got into power, I think it was 7 states seceded from the Union, basically said, you will not stop us from doing bad things. And Abraham Lincoln said, I'm not going to let you do this, and went to the South. I know you're going to get a historical debate over who started it, but it was Fort Sumter.
Yeah.
Union refused to leave. The South was saying it's our it's our land. You got to get out. The Union said it's our base. We built it. But Abraham Lincoln decided to send in the troops and shut down what he was calling the Southern Rebellion and keep the Union together. Mm-hmm. He did a lot of things that people would deem to be tyrannical.
You mean like maybe how today they're trying to say that what Donald Trump is doing is tyrannical?
Exactly.
Yeah.
They say that they have the authority to do whatever they want. No one can stop them. And Abraham Lincoln is heralded for suspending habeas corpus from Pennsylvania to D.C. to create a security corridor for the Union to stop them from trying to secede. And what was the purpose of seceding? Because they wanted to maintain slavery, largely. And they enshrined it in the Southern Constitution. Donald Trump today is saying, I will not let you destroy this Union through open border policies, through selling out our workforce, through destroying our younger generations. And he's going to use his authorities under the Constitution to do so. So I would argue that
there's a parallel.
Indeed, that's my point.
Yeah, there's a parallel.
The Democrats want to do things that are largely rejected by the majority. Slavery was losing out. Abraham Lincoln said slavery will no longer expand in this nation. And so they said, then we're going to leave and we're going to do what we want to do. And he's like, no, you're not breaking the Union. There are a lot of people that would argue and do argue the South had the right to secede. But I agree with Ulysses S. Grant, who said that we as a Union sacrificed blood and treasure to admit you. And that's especially true of Texas. And then they decided abruptly that they were going to leave and not return that debt. Abraham Lincoln said, you're not going to do that. This Union will stand. Donald Trump there's the parallel where Democrats are saying, we want open borders. We want to extract the value, send the money to China, do whatever we want. And Trump is saying, no, we will protect this Union however we have to. And now they're screaming that because he's doing it, he's a fascist.
Yeah,
exactly like the Democrats.
And that is that parallel, because today's Democrats, progressives, socialists, whatever, they are trying to implement a philosophy of governance that is antithetical to who we are as a constitutional republic, to our rule of law. They are basically saying we don't care about the rule of law. It's about just one word, our rule. And so what Donald Trump is doing is standing up to that. And as we were discussing, we need more Republicans to stand up and do this. We need more Republicans to find their big boy and big girl pants, in the House and the Senate, or even like you see in the state of Texas, because for too often and for too long, there have been no consequences. There have been no ramifications for all of these things that Democrats, leftists, Marxists, socialists, progressives have been doing.
I'd love to just rag on the libertarians for a minute. TheReason.com libertarians, because, Dave Smith I like, right?
I mean, there's a lot of ragging that the libertarians have earned, regardless.
They've earned. I imagine them like political cucks, where they sit back while the Democrats run roughshod over libertarian principles and take their guns and destroy their lives and suspend their rights. And then when Trump is like, we got to put a stop to this, they go, whoa, 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 that's going too far, man. And I'm like, ugh.
Libertarians, they love to say things like, I'm principled, et cetera. But if you're principled and your political opponents are not, they will use whatever means necessary to attain political power, and then they're going to use that political power against you. And the libertarians are perfectly fine with losing their rights, having their property rights violated, just so long as they can get on the internet and say, well, I was politically principled and I didn't, violate my libertarian principles. It doesn't matter if your opponents are going to take all your rights away.
If you're so principled to the point where you end up voting with Democrats, I think you should review what your actual impact on power is.
Remember we had the libertarian guy on, and I said, Democrats arrested Donald Trump's lawyers, which is unconstitutional. What should Trump do in response? And the response was nothing. And I'm like, so we just let Democrats continually violate the Constitution, do whatever they want? Yes, because responding would be an escalation. That'd be bad for us. I'm like, so we can live under the boot of communists? I don't. That's a ridiculous.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing. When and this is Battlefield 101, when you allow the enemy to know what you're not willing to do, guess what that is? That's a gap.
Surrender.
That's a surrender, and you will be exploited. And so what we have, and I know we'll get to this in Texas, but 2011, Democrats ran away from Texas, went to Oklahoma. 4 years ago, 2021, Democrats ran away from Texas, came up here to Washington, D.C. So what do you think they're going to do again? And there's never been any hard consequences for them. We're finally trying to get there, but now it's going to be debated. It's got to go before the Texas Supreme Court. Like you just said when we were off camera, it's crush 'em time. And if we don't have that type of mentality, you're going to continue to see them, march toward what they are seeking to have, and that's totalitarian control. And you brought up a great point. I was looking at a previous segment where someone had said that, they want to see Mom Donnie win. I think it was George Will. And you were talking about that. And see, the point is that we never counter them. We never go to the mat against them. You look at this guy up in Minneapolis running for mayor there. You look at Brandon Johnson in your home city of Chicago. We don't go to the mat against these people and really put them on their heels. And if we don't, then the slippery slope, this is what we're on.
I want to play this. Serge posted this video. You sent it to. I want to post this. This is apparently DC feds patrolling.
How y'all doing today? Y'all staying in that trouble? You got your ID on you, Chip?
No, I live right here.
Okay, cool.
It's a cigarette.
Alright.
Did y'all get a call or something about right here?
No, so we're doing checks, keeping everybody safe down here, right? Have you heard of the federal surge that Donald Trump's putting out?
No.
Right. You don't follow like Code 3, anything like that people are putting up? All right, so yeah, Trump's got all federal agencies kind of coming together for 7 days of going out, trying to stop the violent crime, all kind of stuff. So we're out here contacting people, talking to them, right? Quality of life offenses, smoking, drinking in public, right? Can't happen outside, right? Most people know that. Right? So we're contacting people, trying to advise them of the law, so they learn, right? And then if there's other stuff going on where it turns into there's multiple agencies of there's a shooting and things like that. So there's extra hands available, all right? So we're just out here trying to inform people and educate people. It's not like we're trying to just go grab people and ruin someone's life over a joint or something like that, all right?
I only asked because when you walked up, at the moment you walked up, you only had eggs.
Yeah, well, it smelled like the odor of marijuana, burnt marijuana in the air, right? And you're the only guy that had something lit in your hand, and I didn't flashlight you, so I didn't realize it was just a cigarette. So that's on me. I appreciate you understanding and not getting chippy with me. All right, so just know, right? Learn, teach, tell your boys, like, yo, everybody's out, from FBI to police. Right? So do your thing. Let them know. Don't be smoking outside. Don't be drinking outside. Because Donald Trump is tired of it. People come to visit.
Look, I didn't know that.
You didn't know smoking in public?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, the recreational.
Because Maryland is recreational use, so I didn't know.
Yeah, so DC is recreational use as well, right? But you can legally possess up to 2 ounces. You can gift an ounce to your boy, right? So if you had 2 ounces and he said he needed a zip, you can give him a zip. But you can't smoke outside.
The fact that he's using
I got
phrases to the guys is hilarious.
I got no problem with this at all. No. Like the emoji end is a face palm. I'm like, whoa, hold on. These dudes have been, those cops were, that was awesome. He's like, I don't want to ruin anybody's life over just smoking some weed or whatever. Just letting you know, we want to come out and law enforcement, it's enforcing the law. You can't legally do it. We're telling you that we're going to enforce against it. Just tell your boys, let everybody know. I'm like, oh, that's great. Look, I don't want a police state. I don't want cops arresting people on fake charges. But the idea that because police have authority, that will always be bad is ridiculous to me. The power existing does not mean power is always bad. And we're now getting, I mean, this is the best possible video you could have ever gotten out of the federal patrols. The worst video is guys going around just shoving dudes, taking their wallets and roughing them up. These guys were being very, very chill, very nice. Good, more videos like that. Let's clean up DC. How about that?
Look, I'm not interested in police state, but I don't mind, like, a heavy law enforcement presence in cities, especially if they're cities with high crime. I don't live in a city because I don't want to be in a high crime area generally, and cities tend to have more crime than suburban areas or rural areas, and so I made a decision not to live in the cities. But like, one of the things that comes along with city living is an uptick in crime because there's more people and an uptick in police presence. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, Jeremy Kaufman had a great tweet, though, where he said you could eliminate 80% of crime by expelling those with 3 or more arrests.
Yeah. But this is deterrence. That's all it takes. And what a picture-perfect video, like you said, Tim. Professional law enforcement officers going out there and talking people through it. This is what's happening. This is why we're out. This is our task. This is our purpose. This is our mission. And it's the exact same thing that, we do when we, Baghdad or anywhere in Iraq, anywhere in Afghanistan, is you go in there and you patrol through, but you're letting the people know why you're there. And you're trying to be, not accommodating, but letting folks understand that, please, let us help you to have a more safe and secure area. If you have any problems with Al-Qaeda, Taliban, please let us know and report to us. But that's what you have to do, is create that deterrent, have that show of force, and that's how you prevent a lot of this crime. And what just happened yesterday after Donald Trump made the announcement, a man was shot, killed, Washington, D.C., just yesterday.
Yeah. It happens all the time in D.C. It's a rough place, and it's kind of remarkable to me that the seat of federal authority in the United States is such a bad city. You'd think that D.C. would be the worst place to be a criminal, because you're like, the feds are right there, and the charges you get in D.C. are going to be federal charges. No, they let them get away with it.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Mr. West, I wanted to ask you, because as I understand, a lot of people perpetrating these crimes are actually the youth, so to speak,
Yes.
as how the president refers to them. 14, 15, 16, 17-year-olds heavily involved in these carjackings, these assaults, running around in groups at night. What are we to do with these minors who commit crimes? Should we be charging them as adults if the crimes are
two things.
not enough?
Two things. First of all, you should not have a city council that gives them a get-out-of-jail-free card. And the other thing is you should not have these judicial activists sitting on the bench, trying to play, mommy, daddy with them. If you make that decision, look, I grew up in the inner city of Atlanta, Georgia. If you make that decision to go out and conduct something, violence against another person, you have shown a willful intent. And I think you have to be treated as such. You don't get to go and play Legos and things of this nature just because of your age. So I think that's, again, the message that has to be sent from the people that are making the laws and the ordinances, from the people that are supposedly seeing these individuals when they come before them on the bench. They've got to be tougher. And, it goes back to what Judge Janine Pirro said. A 14 or 15-year-old out there with a firearm, okay, that's wrong. That's a violation of all type of laws and statutes. I mean, you got some places where they say an 18-year-old can't have a weapon, but an 18-year-old can go in the military and we give them a weapon. So a 14-year-old, out there gang banging and stuff like that, no, you shouldn't allow it to happen. But I will tell you the big thing, the breakdown of the family. You look in all of our major urban population centers, and again, that's a policy that came from Lyndon Johnson, another one of those leftists. When you broke down the family, okay, I had a dad, a World War II veteran dad. He would have beat my you-know-what upside down if I was out there, with my pants hanging down and doing stupid stuff.
There was a really funny video during one of the riots, the BLM riots, and there was like looting and stuff. And there's some young black kid, and he was doing something, I don't know what, but then you see his mom come
I remember that.
and she's screaming at him. Absolutely. He's like, Mom, stop, and she pulled him out of there.
Absolutely.
There was one moment I'll tell you about. I love this story. I was in Ferguson during the riots, and the left lied about this. This is what really bothers me. And this is 2014, and it's where we started to see this bifurcation. At least I started to see it, where the left was becoming this evil entity, this cultish, and that was, they wrote a book called In Defense of Looting, where they argued that in Ferguson they were smashing up stores and stealing because they were revolting against a system of oppression that was owning their neighborhood. As all lies. Mm-hmm. In fact, what happened was during the Ferguson riots, the locals were begging for help from police because the people who were looting and rioting did not live there. Mm-hmm. Now, some of the locals were mad because the gas station they burned down was owned by some Indian guy. And they said, why are we letting Indians own businesses in our community and making money off us? That's true. But these young men linked arms in front of the liquor store where Michael Brown had stolen the cigarillos. While the looting had started, they linked arms in front of the door to stop anybody from going in. And there was a reporter from Al Jazeera who went up to him and asked him what they were doing. And they said that they were tired of people coming from outside their neighborhoods and smashing up their businesses and destroying their community. Just then, the dude's phone rings. And he's like, oh, crap, it's my mom. And the reporter, he's like, let me answer it. And he answered it, and this kid's mom was like, what are you doing out there? You get home right now. And this reporter from Al Jazeera was like, no, your son is being very responsible. He's protecting the business. He's helping his community. And that was an amazing moment. Seeing that and hearing that from the locals, I was like, this is great. What did the left report? That the looting was fighting oppression and the black people wanted their businesses smashed. And I'm like, that's insane.
It's ludicrous.
They were begging for help. They were saying, please stop the violence. Insane.
Yeah,
Insane.
David Dorn. Remember David Dorn?
Can't corner the Dorner.
Yeah, the police officer that was shot and killed there. But guess what happens? You get a person like Cori Bush, who was one of the ringleaders there in Ferguson and St. Louis, and then we make her a congresswoman and put her on the House Judiciary Committee.
Look at that. The polling during the defund the police period, which is like 2019, 2020, found that in the black communities across the country, polling showed they wanted more police in their neighborhoods. They were asking for help because of the crime. And what ends up happening is squad members pander to affluent white female liberals and say, no, take the police away from their neighborhoods, which makes it all worse.
Yeah, the idea that the average citizen doesn't want a police presence in their neighborhood is a ridiculous assertion. The only people that are saying things like, oh, we need to defund the police, they're always activists. They're not people that are, and they're oftentimes from somewhere else. They're not from the area that they're protesting in. The average people that are in high crime areas, they want police because a police presence makes crime go down. That's not in question.
Remember that dude in LA during the BLM riots where he was like, yeah, they're rioting, let's go. And then like an hour later, he was like, wait, why are you coming to Beverly Hills? And then like 20 minutes later, he's like, stop, they're climbing the walls. Help, get out of here, go back to downtown.
Yeah, I mean, think about the little 3-year-old girl here in D.C., Honesty Cheadle, I think that was her name, in her house, and she's dead because of a stray bullet. You know, these are people, they don't want to live in prison like that. They don't want to live afraid of going out of their own homes like that. But you're right. These folks that show up, Maxine Waters doesn't live in her district.
No.
Maxine Waters doesn't understand that struggle that they have, but yet they want to break down safety and security because, once again, it's rules for thee, but not for me.
Janine Pirro tweeted, and I don't have it up right now, but she tweeted... She put up a tweet that had pictures of something like 45 people from the greater DC area that have lost their lives in the past 18 months. They're all young black guys.
Yeah.
Every last one of them.
Well, that's most of DC, but.
Well, I mean, fair enough. But the fact of the matter is, like, if you're going to be a representative, and Maxine Waters isn't, I think she's from California or whatever. But I mean, and DC doesn't have representatives in Congress, and it shouldn't. If there needs to be a statehood question about DC, it should go back to Maryland. It shouldn't become a state. But like, if you're going to if you're someone that cares about like the black community, then you should be worried about making sure that there are more police to prevent people from killing each other. These are young kids that oftentimes are making dumb mistakes because they're young kids, and young kids make dumb mistakes. I made my fair share when I was young, and like they're mistakes that ruin their entire lives, or they kill someone. Like, it doesn't make any sense to not endorse a police presence. And
they're illegally possessing firearms.
Sure.
That's the thing that no one wants to talk. They are illegally possessing firearms. One of the big things that you got going on down in D.C. is that, they kind of say, yeah, you can carry a pistol, but yeah, you can only do it here, and you got to go through all these hoops. You can't have it on mass transit, whatever. Where a lot of these things happening? I mean, it's happening around these mass transit, areas. So people should not be told they cannot protect themselves. They cannot defend themselves.
I agree, and that's where I push back on the idea of illegal firearms. The system that's created right now is that only criminals have firearms.
Yes.
So I will respect the statutory limits that have been imposed for now while rejecting them on constitutional grounds. I think you should be legally allowed to carry in D.C. and anywhere in this country, and then we wouldn't have these problems because people are going to think twice about who might be armed and the repercussions of their actions.
No, you're absolutely right.
Mr. West, so it's a little bit off topic, but I wanted to follow up with you on something that they said actually towards the end of this video. So this federal officer was letting these young gentlemen know the pot laws surrounding D.C., that they're allowed to have up to 2 ounces, which is a ton of pot, if people know anything about pot. President Trump recently said that he was considering reclassifying pot. This is Wall Street Journal reporting that on the heels of the big pot donating millions of dollars to the president, and he's considering reclassifying. He was asked about this, considering reclassifying. What do you think about the status of pot in our country and how it's progressed over the past few decades? And different states have varying degrees of legality, but that definitely seems to be the direction we're heading in. And the president didn't outright say no. He said that he was considering it. So what do you think about the direction of this stuff and the impact that it's having? Because, you know, these guys could have up to 2 ounces of pot out there is what the guys.
Yeah, should pot be legal?
Well, I will tell you, you probably might be asking the wrong fellow. I'm 64 years of age. I never smoked, never drank, never did drugs in my life. And I've seen the horrific effects that marijuana can have on people. I look at it this way. If you go out and you are consuming marijuana, it still asks you on the 4473 form, are you taking marijuana? So you are losing your Second Amendment right.
That's the form you have to fill out when
That's right.
when buying a firearm.
So you're losing your Second Amendment right. Or if you go in, you'll lie like Hunter Biden. The other thing is that still, to go into the United States military, they're going to ask you, are you under the influence of drugs? Have you taken drugs? Because that is still one of the gatekeepers. So I am very concerned when I go out to Denver and I see what is happening there, and I don't want to see an entire generation become, wasted. I really don't. I mean, Cheech and Chong, it was very funny, couple of guys, but it affects your Second Amendment rights. It affects the ability of us to go and have men and women who stand on freedom's ramparts to protect our nation. So it's a national security issue as well. Let's
just talk about our friend Shaggy over there. Everybody knows why Shaggy ate dog food. Shaggy ate dog. He did. It's part of the cartoon.
Snacks.
That's right.
Dog food. Yeah.
Shaggy ate dog food because he was stoned out of his mind and hungry. And so he ate dog food.
Yeah.
That's the lesson we told kids for the past 50 years. Yeah, okay.
Would you be disappointed if the president did reclassify it?
I would
reschedule it, rather?
I would scratch my head. I remember I was on with John Stossel,
Yeah.
And he asked me the exact same question about how would why would you restrict people in their freedom to be able to go out and smoke, marijuana? I said, look, if you want to go and stay in your house and smoke weed, fine. But when you walk outside your house, when you get behind the driver's wheel or something like that, you're now impacting my life. And so that's one of the things that I look at. If that's something you want to do, I understand your freedoms, your rights, then stay in your house. Sleep it off or whatever. But don't come out into out of the house and then affect other people's lives. And that's why I'm a big thing about drinking and driving, because I've seen a lot of people that have lost their lives because of the irresponsibility. And I just think that it, again, goes down a very, very bad slope. I don't want to see a drugged out United States of America. Go Amsterdam. Look at all these places where they just have the free drug use. Not a good thing.
Let's jump into this story from KFOX 14. Attorney General Paxton seeks contempt charges against O'Rourke for violating court order. Oh, boy, here we go. Jail. Attorney General Ken Paxton says, I'm taking action to hold Robert Francis O'Rourke in contempt for violating a court order and scamming Texans. Beto's about to find out that running your mouth and ignoring the rule of law has consequences in Texas. It's time to lock him up. So he says, less than 24 hours after the temporary restraining order was signed, Robert Francis told a crowd of hundreds in Fort Worth that he would continue fundraising in violation of the restraining order because there are no refs in the game. F the rules. Robert Francis is wrong on both counts. There is a referee, the Honorable Megan Fahey, and there are rules, namely that a person violating a temporary restraining order can be fined up to $500 and jailed for up to 6 months. So basically what's happening is these Democrats are they're getting funding somewhere, and it's to elicit their violation of their duty. I want to see faster action on the vacating of their seats in Texas. For those that aren't familiar, these Democrats illicitly fled the state to avoid doing their duly sworn job, which is to represent their districts. And they're doing it because they lost. They lost the election. Republicans have the majority, and Republicans have decided to redistrict in the middle of the decade. And they say, that's not fair. You can't do that. They can. It's just, I don't know, violating decorum, I guess. It's not illegal in any way. It's not unconstitutional. It's not cheating. It was always allowed, and Democrats are mad that they lost the majority, and Republicans have decided this is what they're going to do. Beto O'Rourke responds saying he's lying about me to try and silence us. Here's the full clip. I mean every word. I apologize for making you listen to this man, but let's play the clip.
We want California and New Jersey and Illinois and Maryland and every other state where the Democrats hold the governor's mansion, the assembly, and the state senate to redraw their congressional districts now, not wait for Texas to move first, to maximize Democratic Party advantage. Listen, you may say to yourself, well, those aren't the rules. There are no refs in this game. Fuck the rules. We are going to win whatever it takes. We're going to take this to them in every way that we can.
He is literally a gift.
There's another clip.
Republicans.
Beto O'Rourke has another clip saying something
We
similar.
are in a basketball game right now, if you'll excuse the metaphor, where the refs have left the arena. And the other side is just clobbering the shit out of us, just punching us in the face, kicking us in the nuts. And we're kind of throwing our hands up and we're asking the crowd, the people of America, hey, do you see what's going on here? This is unfair. This isn't the rules that we agreed to play by. Well, who cares about the fucking rules right now? Punch back, kick back, dunk over their heads, and win some fucking power. We are in a bad...
I love how they arrested Trump's lawyers and had a manhunt for people who peacefully protested on January 6th. Not the rioters, calm down, liberal media who are going to lie about what I'm saying. The rioters should have gone to prison. No, I'm talking about the people who showed up after the riots who had no idea what was going on, and they got hunted down across the country. Or how about the innocent woman in Alaska with her home raided despite not even being in the Capitol? And then Beto has the nerve to be like, look what they are doing to us.
When Beto O'Rourke got on stage and he was saying, hell yes, we're going to come after your AK-47s. Hell yes, we're going to come after your AR-15s. That was a gift to the Republican Party. When he gets on stage and he says things like this, like break the rules, considering Republicans know how much the Democrats have broken the rules in the past year, it's a gift to the GOP. Beto O'Rourke is one of the best things for the GOP because they can take the things that he says, the stupid things that he says, and make them into clips, make them into commercials, and they can use his idiocy against the Democrats. And there are very few people that are as dumb and make as many dumb comments, counterproductive comments, as Beto O'Rourke. The only person that's better is Maxine Waters.
And Jasmine Crockett.
She's good.
Let me just break it down because obviously O'Rourke, and we call him Bob Frank down there in Texas. Blue states with 0 Republican House seats. Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Vermont, New Hampshire, Hawaii, New Mexico, Connecticut, Delaware. Blue states with 1 Republican House seat. Maryland, Oregon, Maine. Blue states with 2 to 5 Republican House seats. Colorado, Minnesota, Illinois, where Donald Trump won 44% in Illinois, but they only have 2 Republicans in their congressional delegation. Virginia and New Jersey. California and New York, I think they're like 6 or 7. You know, right now Texas has 12 Democrats in our congressional delegation. 1 seat is vacant. That was Sylvester Turner, a Democrat who passed in office. So you could say 13. We're talking about 3 to 5 seats. And these people are going crazy over 3 to 5 seats. They're going crazy because Republicans in Texas are doing, as Tim said, it's not unconstitutional. There's nothing wrong with it. They are doing something that they have been consistently doing, and we're taking the fight to them. These are the exact same people that say, we want D.C. as a state, what you just talked about. We want Puerto Rico as a state. Why? Because we want more congressional representation. When we get back in power, we want 6 more Supreme Court justices so that we can control the Supreme Court. We are the people that in the last census, we brought lawsuits because we wanted illegal immigrants to be counted in the census, which skews congressional representation. Congressional representation should be based upon citizenry. I think California is overrepresented because that's what they're doing. They're counted.
I think it's census fraud.
It's totally census fraud.
No, but I'm saying I think it goes beyond. You know, we often talk about this, how they use illegal immigrants to pad the numbers.
Yes.
And then I thought about it, I'm like, why even do that? Why not just put fake numbers? Who's checking the census? Who's going to California being, let me make sure this household actually has 5 people in it? Nobody. So in California, they're probably just like, and just add a person in every household.
Yeah, and
that's why extra district.
That's why they don't want Tom Homan in these sanctuary states and sanctuary cities. Because, again, these are people that they want to count. So what again is happening is Beto O'Rourke, Robert Francis, Bob Frank is projecting the fact that they're upset because it's being done to them, and they have nowhere else to go. The 9 state Senate Democrats who left Texas and went to Massachusetts, when the idiot governor, Maura Healey of Massachusetts, stands up there and talks about they're going to find more districts you got 0.
Yeah. That's a point that we've made here a couple of times so far. Like, there is no more Like there's no more that the Democrats can get out of gerrymandering. You know, it's they've maximized it to the point where there's no more juice to squeeze out of it.
Yeah, and Elbridge Gerry was from Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Just who that's named after.
Mr. West, just to play devil's advocate a little bit, do you have any concern that Democrats can use this as the pretext to eventually do other things that are sort of acts as power politics?
But they've already done it.
So, like, even they could, next time they're in power, they could potentially even add more states. They've talked about packing the Supreme Court.
Of course they're going to do that.
The Supreme Court in the past.
Elaad, they arrested Trump's lawyers and put him in prison and tried seizing his properties. We are well beyond any argument of, oh, no, Democrats might do something else. There's nothing left to do other than shoot people randomly.
And they will.
Arrested Trump's lawyer. And I'm wrong. I'm sorry. I take that back. Antifa, far leftists have already shot and killed people in the streets.
Yeah.
At the political level, they've arrested Trump's lawyers. So this argument that, oh no, if Trump actually does something, Democrats might escalate to where? Where are they going to go? Where are they going to go from we arrested Trump's lawyers unconstitutionally and tried putting him in prison?
Mm-hmm. And see, that what you just said has been a Republican mindset. Because we put these constraints on ourselves and say, now, look, we don't need to go there and do that. We can be above that. We can be better than that. And you're giving them a gap. That's just like saying in the battlefield, okay, maybe we should go and talk to the terrorists. Maybe if we talk to them, maybe they won't hate us as much. How's that working out for Israel and Hamas? How's that worked out? Not too dadgum well, okay? October the 7th was a clear example. There comes a time when you just got to say, it's time to crush them. And that's where we are.
Yeah, we just ignore them, steamroll them.
And to stress, this is all within the Constitution.
Yes.
No one is saying that Trump should throw the Constitution away and then just start arresting people. We're saying the DOJ should investigate. I asked Sebastian Gorka today, do you believe, he called these people, the Obamagate people, unconstitutional filth or something like that. And I said, do you think they should be in prison? He says, if they committed a crime and are charged and are tried by a jury of their peers. I'm like, man, the right sure is holding back. Even after everything Democrats have done, still with pending criminal charges against Trump, he appealed this, and it's been 1 year since the appeal was the trial was heard, the appeal was heard, and the judges have not issued a ruling. They've just frozen in place. Mm-hmm. It's because they're scared to take sides. They can say, we're in New York, so if we go against Trump, the Democrats will come for us. But if we go for Trump, the Democrats will come for us. If we go against Trump, Trump will come for us. So let's just do nothing. They're trying to put Trump in prison even right now. And the moment he leaves, they're going to try and put him in prison again. And Republicans are still saying, let's just go through the DOJ, do the standard process. And that's what Trump is doing. Deploying the National Guard is well within his authority. And they're acting like it's a fascist takeover when it's well within codified law. The Insurrection Act hasn't even been invoked yet. Trump deployed the Marines to LA to guard federal buildings, which is still within his rights as president. These far left extremists in 2020 tried burning down St. John's Church. They set it on fire.
Yeah.
They threw firebombs on the White House grounds, torched a guard post, and the left does not care. So there's nowhere for them to go at this point. If Trump upholds law, even if Trump actually violated the Constitution, which they lie, and he's not, then what do we say? The Democrats have violated the Constitution every way from Sunday. And if Trump started now, we're going to be like, oh, geez, oh, heavens, help me. It's going to be, well, that was the escalation we all saw coming. So I commend Trump for not doing that. And for the Republicans not doing that. And I genuinely thought Seb Gorka was going to say, lock him up and throw away the key. They didn't. He said they should, if they've committed crimes, we'll have a jury trial. And I'm like, oh, there you go. Still, the right is trying to maintain control. And you know what it is? Because Trump and the right want the country to exist. And that means the foundation of it, it's English common law and the Constitution have to be preserved. So those are the moves that he's making. I'm for it.
I mean, like we've said multiple times already tonight, but like the Republicans are in power. They have the Congress, or both houses of Congress. They have the executive branch. Steamroll the Democrats.
And Supreme Court.
Yeah, and Supreme Court. Steamroll them. Just steamroll over them.
Constitutionally steamroll them.
Yeah.
Everybody, I mean, we're not just talking about but constitutionally steamroll them.
Pass legislation that the Republicans and conservatives want.
It's not going to go easy. Take a look at this story from Fox News. D.C. paid protester requests surge 400%. Amid Trump's federal takeover of city police, Crowd Company. CEO says vast majority of political event attendees in Washington are paid in some way. You know, there's a book called, what is it called? Confessions of an Economic Hitman. And this guy's been interviewed. I forgot his name. But he talks about how what the U.S. would do in foreign countries to overthrow these color revolutions is you hire about 1,000 people to protest, and you film them rioting, and you get a tight shot. Mm-hmm. You then report it's hundreds of thousands of people. The average person sees the video and says in their mind, like, they think, wow, look at this massive unrest. It must be everywhere, when in fact there's only 1,000 people. During Occupy Wall Street, various news outlets did something really funny. There'd be these massive protesters marching on the street. They would wait until the very end, so you'd only see like 15 people, and they would call that the protest. Because these news organizations didn't want to say that there were actually 2,000 people marching through the street, whatever your opinion on Occupy Wall Street is. So when you learn about these paid protester requests, let's just say that there are powers upset over Donald Trump's actions, don't want him to win, and they will do everything in their power to fabricate the perception that regular people oppose Trump, be it through phony polls or paid protesters.
No, you're spot on. I mean, you know, when you see these people, they all show up. They're all chanting the same thing. I just saw recently that, you know, in D.C., a bunch of folks showing up, and they came up with this horrible song about, you know, D.C. is our home. You can't have it, Trump. He doesn't want D.C. If anything, he's trying to protect you in your home so that you have safety and security. But again, you see the nice, you know, handbill signs and all of this stuff because there's a machine. It's just the same as, how did all of a sudden these cinder blocks show up out in Los Angeles? How did these bricks?
Funny, right?
Yeah, how did these bricks show up?
Every time there's a big protest, someone noticed there's big pallets of bricks just plopped right near the march route. And then the media just says, totally normal, ignore it. It's normal to have bricks placed next to buildings for no reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Not a construction site.
Right.
I think there's been a lot of panic fatigue that's set in on the left. I think it's fascinating the difference between the protest movements in Trump 1 versus Trump 2. I remember tens of thousands of people, huge women's marches. Regularly, there would be these anti-Trump marches. I feel like there was more buzz around what he was doing in the first administration in regards to ICE and deportations than there is now. I think people had maxed out how much they could be panicked about the president, and they saw that, you know, he did a relatively good job the first term. Even if you're a Democrat, you saw that. And again, you see people fear-mongering around every other thing that the president does, and everything turns out to be fine. So I think it's fast.
And I just think that when you got the thing up there, we refuse to accept a fascist America. So where was that sign when Joe Biden was telling us what type of shower head we could have? Where was that sign when Joe Biden was telling light bulbs, how much toilet water we could flush, what type of car we could have, what type of dishwasher we could have? You know, again, it just comes back to this mentality that what we do is right. What we do, you have to accept. But if you stand in opposition to what we seek to do, you're a threat to democracy, you're a fascist, you're a Nazi, you're all of these different types, and Nazi stood for National Socialists anyhow. But it's all of these different things. And we do I almost said a bad word. We do a not good job of really bringing out the stupidity of that. Everybody on every right side, conservative, you know, media outlet should be saying, this is how you define a fascist. You know, defining a fascist is when you go to social media companies and you say, don't let them say this. Don't let them talk about COVID. Censor them. Kick them off. I mean, I don't see Donald Trump saying any of those type of things. So we have got to do a better job of, you know, stop allowing them to project on us.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know that there's any change coming from the Democrats. I think the most committed, they've been playing, you know, operating from the same playbook for the better part of a decade, and I don't see how there's going to be any kind of significant change in the way they operate. And this is part of the civil war that's going on in the Democrat Party. There are reasonable Democrats that are like, we have to stop this. The cancel culture didn't work. We have to get away from the extreme trans LGBT stuff. We have to get away from the defund the police. These things are not popular with the American people. But the activists and the people that are the most vocal in the Democrat Party are having none of it.
Yeah, they are. And it goes back to Tim's point is that when you lose an election like you lost in November 2024, and you come back and say, nah, we're not going to double down. We're not going to triple down. We're going to quadruple down on all of that stuck on stupid stuff that caused us to get our butts handed to us. There's no place to go. Mm-hmm. There's no debate. There's no discussion to be had.
I think everything's fake. I talked about it quite a bit today. because one thing that we're starting to see, which is very strange to a lot of people, is that a lot of people are freaking out because their view counts on social media have been declining rapidly. And even some of the biggest podcasts in the world, their view counts are very low. And these are not political shows. So the question is, well, what's going on here? What's going on here? It's you know, we've seen a slight decline for the most part. I will stress to a lot of people that aren't familiar, we've split the live show between Rumble now. So right now on YouTube we've got 25, and on Rumble we've got 25. So that's about normal for us. 50,000 live viewers concurrent. We've been kind of okay, but views are generally down across the board. Without naming anybody, because I don't want to start any beef, some of the biggest shows that used to get millions are getting hundreds of thousands. And all of a sudden, people are starting to ask questions about what's really going on. I had a conversation with a few big YouTubers and other social personalities like Instagram and TikTok, and they're saying that their view counts and everything are going down, not even political content. So what has happened this year, I wonder if the reality is that during political seasons, like we're seeing with these paid protesters, let me just put it this way. If they're going to pay people to show up and look like they care about a cause, don't you think they'd pay for bots to make it look like their cause is popular? And the reason why we may be seeing total across the board view counts go down is because the bots are no longer operating. Maybe it's USAID. I don't know.
That's a good point.
I mean, I don't know if it's USAID or not, but I mean, I imagine that the fact that USAID doesn't continue to grease the wheels is having an effect, right?
No, it could, without a doubt, because we found a lot of things about USAID that was not about international development. I mean, it was more so about pushing a certain agenda.
And if money from USAID found its way into the pockets of NGOs, one of the ways that you try to manipulate the public into thinking an idea is popular is if someone makes videos about environmentalism, you make sure they're getting lots of views so that other young people say, this is what will get you views, and people start following, and they adopt those views to try and look popular. That's the sock puppet game. It's the same thing as paying people to protest.
Yeah, I mean, look, there are a lot of people that are very quick to adopt the opinions of the people that surround them or the people that they want to be around, right?
Herd mentality.
Yeah, it's definitely a normal thing to see people that are of a political stripe, and they'll have similar opinions, but when they get into a crowd, they all have the same opinions. And it's something that's you see on the left strongly nowadays, because the left will kick you out and cancel you or whatever. We had Angela Belcamino on Friday. I think it was Friday. And she used to be, her brand is the bold liberal woman, right? And that's been her thing for a long time. And as soon as she started saying, well, this is a little too far for me, Democrats, I'm not on board with this particular thing, and I'm not on board with this particular thing, she was treated terribly, and she got the same kind of things that any conservative would get. Like, gets called a Nazi and gets insulted, and that's just standard operating procedure from the left. If you step out of line, the left attacks you in the only way they know how, which is to demonize you in totality. They're not like, ooh, that's a bad opinion, I think you really should rethink that. No, you're a Nazi, you know?
Well, it's the Saul Alinsky rules for radicals thing.
Yep.
It's about the politics and the policy of character assassination. I don't want to have a debate with you because I know that I cannot debate with you because my ideals and my ideas suck. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to demonize you. I'm going to denigrate you. I'm going to disparage you. Look, Uncle Tom, sellout, Oreo, coon, white man's porch monkey, all that kind of crazy stuff. But it doesn't make any sense because what you're telling me is that I'm winning the argument. Mm-hmm. When you have relegated yourself to just name calling, I'm just going to put the pedal to the metal. And I think that, again, what Tim is saying is that all of a sudden we're starting to see an effect out there because they're not able to interject themselves in there by way of these bots and things of this nature because we've gotten to the core of it. When you go after NPR, when you go after some of these other platforms that were government-sponsored propaganda machines, it is having an effect on them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think another thing we're seeing, too, is with the Corporation for Public Broadcasting being shut down recently, yep. A lot of people are saying USAID, but can we point to the Corporation for Public Broadcasting shutting down? And then, once again, it looks like certain viewership and certain shows are starting to dry up. Makes you wonder.
Look at Howard Stern. I mean, that guy went
yeah.
from tens of millions to what? A few 100,000.
I mean, that seems like generational and technological, though, for the most part. But he shifted in 2016. He went super straight-laced and boring.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, he thought he was getting on with the popular herd. Stephen
Yep.
Colbert, all the rest of these knuckleheads.
And they were wrong. Let's jump to this story from FoxNews.com. D.C. police chief ripped for mind-blowing response to basic policing question. Oh, yeah? Let's see if, here we go. Roll tape. I said roll tape, Fox News.
What does that mean? Well, is it tampon?
Let's try that. Okay, let's try that again because we can't hear it. Fox, your website is terrible.
And is now? What does that mean? Well, is it tampon?
Okay, this is a terrible video. Basically, someone asked her, can you tell us the chain of command now? And she said, what does that mean? And everybody is losing it because she's the police chief.
She.
Well, is it she? What's the implication there, Phil?
I have unpopular opinions about women in the police force. Or,
Unpopular?
Well, unpopular.
Or popular?
Popular with probably our audience, but unpopular on the broader.
I don't think so. I
don't think so?
I think you're very popular.
Well, I mean, I don't think that women should be police officers. I don't think that women should be firefighters. I don't think that women should be in combat roles in the military. If you want to work in logistics, that's fine. If you want to work dispatch, that's fine. Actual beat police officers. And I don't think that there should be anyone that's a police chief unless they have been a beat police officer, unless they know and they've been a detective and actually have done police work. So
let's turn the volume up and see if we can hear this one.
That's what the chain of command is now.
What does that mean?
Well, is it Pam Bondi speaking to the mayor, speaking to you, or how does this work?
So
She didn't even
the
answer.
executive order is clear. The president.
She didn't even answer. I don't know if I right away want to say that she doesn't know what chain of command means. I think she was asking when someone said, "What is the chain of command now?" She's like, "What do you mean? Like, what is it now? It's not. Has it changed?" You think she actually doesn't know what a chain of command is?
Yes. Okay. I mean, I know.
Maybe I'm too charitable.
You are. You're throwing that lifeline at her. No. I mean, she had the deer in the headlights look.
That's true. She did. Like, she doesn't understand what she's being asked at all.
Yeah.
And to be fair, even if it was that she was asking, that was an Aleppo moment. That, remember,
Absolutely. I remember
she
that.
should have said, in terms of the chain of command for the city, it's remained largely the same, but we will be taking guidance from the federal government, right? So either way, it was a miserable response. But you know what? Maybe I shouldn't be so charitable, and I should actually entertain the possibility that the police chief of D.C. doesn't know what a chain of command is.
Well, it's the D.C. police chief who has one of her subordinates that has been placed on paid administrative leave because he was cooking crime statistics. So supposedly that's part of her chain of command, but maybe she didn't know that.
I mean, just the fact that DC's been cooking crime statistics is an indictment of the leadership, right? It's an indictment of the people that are actually running the DC Police Department, the Metro Police Department, and they should all lose their jobs. In my opinion, if you're lying to the citizens of DC, then they should lose their jobs. They're not fit for purpose. The police aren't there to make nice sounding reports. They're there to actually protect the citizens. And this is the Sovietization of the United States. The Soviet Union used to do this stuff all the time. They would, instead of actually being honest about whatever statistic it was, and it was ubiquitous throughout the Soviet Union, but it's something that has been happening more and more in the United States. Instead of actually telling the truth, the authorities, whatever specific arena you're talking about, they just lie about the statistics, whether it be the FBI lying about crime statistics or municipalities lying about statistics
or job statistics,
or they just don't report stuff to the FBI. So that way the actual information that's coming out is erroneous. That's something that the Soviet Union was doing. This is part and parcel with the leftist influence in the administration of municipalities and states. And I also would venture to say that this is probably because of DEI as well. DEI initiatives, you put people that are unqualified in positions based on whatever their identity is. They don't have the ability to do the job, or they're not carrying out the job properly. So they have to lie, so that way it doesn't look like they're unable to do their job.
Yeah, and we saw that with the fire chief and the deputy assistant fire chief out there in L.A. doing those fires.
Yeah, that's exactly one of the things that I was thinking of.
Did she get fired or something?
I'm not sure she did get fired.
Yeah. It's a really weird phenomenon where they're like, I don't care if you can do the job so long as you're the right identity. And then instead of having like a bricklayer lay bricks, they have a fat woman lay bricks.
Yeah.
And you're like, does she know how to do it? No, but it's morally right.
Yeah, well, there are no qualifications or standards. I mean, we saw that in the military, during Obama's years, where all of a sudden we're going to put women in these in the Ranger School. We're going to put women into all of these different things, but they're going to have a little bit of a different standard. No one had ever heard of a general walking patrol lanes at Ranger School until there were that very first few females going through Ranger School. And why do you think a general was walking patrol lanes at Ranger School?
Yeah.
That's what you're talking about.
Right. Absolutely.
And I totally disagree with that. There should be one standard. When I went through jump master school, didn't care male, female, however big you were. If you couldn't do what was necessary to be an airborne jump master.
It's like there's like a pickle jar factory, and they're like, we could hire a bunch of guys, but we legally have to hire a bunch of women, and then no one can open the pickle jars.
You know?
I don't know, guys. Don't I have the right to be arrested and shot at by a female cop?
It's more likely that you'll be shot at by a female cop.
Or saved in a fire, in the case of a fire by a female cop, or die in arms.
Okay. Is it true that female cops shoot people more often?
It's anecdotal evidence, but women do not have the same physical capabilities as men, and they're more likely to go to deadly force if something like the taser fails them. They can't go hands-on with a guy in the same way that a large guy. And look, I'm not a big guy. I shouldn't be a cop, right? Like, I mean, even though I weigh in at $170, but like, I shouldn't be a cop just because a big dude's gonna have way more leverage over me.
Yeah, but you got that center of gravity, man. You could take you.
Fair enough. But the point that I'm making is like women are smaller and weaker, and I would prefer to see police officers that are big dudes that are able to physically restrain people, because that is actually safer for the criminals as well. If the police officer is confident and competent, and he knows that he can restrain a person, he doesn't have to go for deadly force. He doesn't have to go for pain response as much. He can wrap them up. It's more likely that he could wrap them up and just use his physical size to restrain them. That's good for the police officer, and it's good for whoever's being arrested or whoever's being taken into custody.
So while I believe that the defund the police movement widely fizzled out, I think they were still extremely effective at doing one thing, and that is demoralize police departments across the country. I think many of our police departments across the country are extremely demoralized. People do not want to be cops anymore. Cops are treated very poorly. In the NYPD, I believe there's a staffing shortage. They aren't meeting recruiting numbers. I think this is across the board too in law enforcement. I don't think this is
saw that in the
unique to
military.
police department. So
you saw in the military, we did not make recruiting, numbers during the Biden auto-pen administration. Then, of course, you get a change of leadership, and it's completely different. Look at all these people that are coming back to the Border Patrol now. Coming back to ICE.
But the left was
I gotta fact check for you, Phil, because I want to know. And I first asked ChatGPT, do female officers shoot more? And it was giving me wishy-washy garbage answers, which led me to believe it's probably true. Because when I asked ChatGPT, do female officers have more shooting incidents than male officers? And it goes, well, the thing is, and then it gave me this real big long breakdown. And then I said, just tell me yes or no. It says, no, female officers are less likely to use force. So I said, okay, I'm going to Venice.ai, because this is legit uncensored. And it actually agreed. It says, based on available data, female officers are less likely to use lethal force or shoot suspects compared to males.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. But I mean,
and let's be real, Phil. Let's say you were wrongly approached by a male cop, right? There's nothing you can do. But if it was a lady cop, she can't stop you. You can walk away. You can briskly walk, and she'll stumble and fall, and she'll be able to chase you.
There are plenty of videos on the internet of people just disregarding orders from a female police officer, whether it be just driving away or walking away. And if it becomes a physical confrontation, the woman's at a disadvantage.
There's that famous viral video where two lady cops are trying to arrest a guy, and he just shoves them off and then runs away, and they drop their cuffs on the ground, and he just bolts through the park, and they get in their car and chase after him. The guy filming is like, what the But there's tons of these videos out of the UK especially where like 2 lady cops are trying to arrest a guy and he's just punching him in the face and beating him and they can't do anything about it. Dude.
Well, they don't even have guns, I believe, in the UK, right? The
Not your regular beat cops, but there are special police officers nowadays, especially considering the knife crime, that are walking around with like MP5s and stuff like that. So they're not the regular, like, I don't think they actually have like the same kind of bobbies they used to.
It's the standards, right, that we have a problem with. Not that they're actually literally women, that they would just need to meet the same standards just as men do. Or is there something beyond that? Because in certain cases, in certain issues, I think it does go beyond the physical capability.
If I call the police and I need help from a police officer, I don't want it to be a woman. I want a big dude to show up. That's just the way that it is.
That's how I feel about bosses. All of my female bosses, horrible experiences with weird dynamic going on. With a male boss, that's my bro. You know, it's different dynamic. I could slap him on the arm. It's not weird. I could say weird jokes around him. Tim's not going to look at me funny. If it was a female, totally different dynamic. I feel uncomfortable. It's like, am I flirting with you? Am I talking with you?
I mean,
Why are you looking at me like that?
I don't have a problem with females in the workplace. I just think that there are certain jobs that I wouldn't want. Like if there's a fire and I'm calling, call the fire department, I don't want, 4 women to jump off the fire truck and be like, here we go. I want dudes that could carry like me and my girlfriend out of the house, or carry a big dude out of the house. And you saw that with like Alan was saying, the fire chief was actually said in California, actually said, oh, if I have to carry a big man out of the house, he did something wrong.
Oh,
that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's unacceptable. Yep. She should lose her job just for saying that.
Unfireman-like. And I mean, again, they're firemen, not firewomen, guys. Come on. It's in the name.
When I was in Congress, I was on the Armed Services Committee and I was on the Military Personnel Subcommittee, and I got asked the whole question about, women being in combat roles. And I just asked a very simple question. Why do we have male and female downhill skiing?
Because men and women are different?
Yeah. If you have male and female downhill skiing, how are you going to sit here and tell me that, we should have ladies, young women in the infantry or in the Rangers or Special Forces or Navy SEALs? We have male and female water polo.
When you served, were there any women in any of your units, and did that affect group dynamic? No, that happened after.
The artillery units were all guys. Infantry units, all guys. Now that has changed, and it has caused some interesting problems.
Interesting dynamics. I heard women might be
interesting problems. Pregnant soldiers.
There's like some biological basis for women being better pilots. Have you ever heard this stuff? Do you think there's a somewhere for women? I don't even know if that's true.
I always tell people I was too dumb to fly airplanes, but I was smart enough to jump out of them. So look, I mean, there's some people that have that ability. I don't know if women do better than men. I don't know. But I will tell you, it's all about a standard. If you can fly a dadgum attack helicopter, all I want is when I call and say, put some rounds on the bad guy over there, I want to make sure the rounds go on the bad guy. That's it.
Yeah. I wouldn't have any problem with like females that are piloting planes or piloting choppers. That's perfectly fine. Like they're pulling the trigger and stuff. That's fine.
Law enforcement is so demoralized. Can we even be choosy at this point? Yes. We aren't meeting the requirements for recruitment in the Army and the police department.
We're meeting the Army numbers now.
Okay.
I would make the argument that it's more important because if you have fewer police officers, they have to be more competent.
I agree.
I'm
making the argument.
Sure. Let's just go back to that clip that Tim showed us of the federal law enforcement agents going up to those guys. He had a presence about him. He had a command authority about him. They were not going to bump their gums. They're not going to disregard. They're not going to say anything, trivial and, brush them off. He looked like I can bring the heat. And that's why they sat and they listened. And in certain ways, you get more respect by how you carry yourself. I can say that having sat in meetings with like 60 to 70 Sunni sheiks. They're looking to you and they're looking to see, is this someone that is serious? This is someone that, is physically capable and also mentally capable.
Yeah. Let's jump to this story from the New York Post. British cops wore jogging outfits to elicit catcalls and then arrested some men who hit on them.
Speaking of which, have nothing better to do, right?
Yep. The UK is conquered. It's a failed state. And while grooming gangs go free and get slaps on the wrist, lady cops jog around, and then when someone hollers at them, they arrest them. So the UK, you're a conquered nation, and I feel bad for you.
You know, you mentioned people hollering at lady cops. That and the scenario that we just saw that Alan was mentioning as well. If there were lady cops that walked up to 7 dudes that are sitting on a front porch, you know they're going to be making, derogatory remarks. They're not going to be listening to the police officers. They are police officers, yes, but young dudes like that, they're going to flirt with them or whatever, and they're going to treat them like women before they treat them like police officers. That's just the way that young guys act, especially in front of, when they got their friends around. They're gonna make remarks. That's what young dudes like that will do. You don't want to put people in those situations where they have to kind of, escalate the situation, because if they're just like, oh, we're not going to listen to you, then the police officer has to escalate the situation. So.
But what's interesting about this story, Tim, is that, okay, you go and get police officers to come out in jogging outfits so that they can have some people yell catcalls at them. But you got a rape culture that is happening in England, and you're just dismissing it. You're allowing roving bands of people to rape young women, and you're dismissing it.
This is what happens when you let, we call them awfuls, affluent white female liberals, get in charge. They're dismissive of the poor, oppressed Muslim rape gangs, and they're angry at the white supremacist patriarchy.
Yeah.
Now, the reality is, I think they want to exert some kind of authority, and they know that they're not going to be able to in the Muslim community and the Pakistani community, but they know that they can arrest a white man and get away with it.
Well, it's interesting because I'm looking over here, and I see you got a book called No-Go Zones.
By who?
Raheem Kassam, I believe.
Yeah, right there. And so, again, so it's more important that we entrap guys that are just catcalling some women that are running in tights than we go in and we say, you're going to abide by English common law. You're not going to come in here and set up some Sharia law. You're not going to come in here and have these roving gangs that are raping young English women. You're right. Europe is done. If this is what they're going to resort to.
I don't know. I heard that Marine Le Pen's party is beating the Crowns. Like the right-wing shift has been happening in Europe for some time, and people are saying enough to the just the conquering of their nations.
Yeah, because that's the reason why you've got Macron, you've got Starmer, you've got Carney in Canada. Now all of a sudden they're saying, yeah, we're going to recognize the Palestinian state. Australia is another one, because they have allowed people to come into their country and do exactly that. But yet they're focusing on, like you said, the white patriarchy. You're the bad guy.
Don't look at me. I'm mixed race. I get a free pass. And Elaad's Jewish, so he's one or the other, depending on whether they hate Israel or like Israel. I think actually you're screwed, Elaad.
But even George Zimmerman was a white Hispanic.
That's true.
Be careful.
That's true. And he was not white.
No, he was nowhere near it.
And it's funny because I like to shout out Luke Rutkowski, who's blonde hair, blue-eyed white guy. But because he's Polish, he's considered a person of color to the left.
He's a Slavic man.
Yep. Slavs are considered people of color because they're oppressed. That's where the word slave comes from.
That's true.
Slav.
Yeah.
That's right. So he's oppressed.
Poor Luke Rutkowski.
I know. We need to do one of those like Sarah McLachlan fundraiser videos for poor oppressed Luke Rutkowski.
In the arms of an angel playing, and just all these like slow shots of Luke Rutkowski
eating, out of beans out of a can, cold, and whatever it is he's doing down in Florida.
Poor Luke. I wonder if he's in the chat today.
He's probably in the chat. He's probably going to respond with, yes, give me money.
Take advantage of it, Luke.
Yeah.
I back it.
But this is what the UK has become. Once a nation so great, they invented chicken tikka masala. Now, that's true.
I know.
Now it is, crime is rampant in the cities. If you go online and say naughty words, you'll go to prison.
In the UK, you are 8 times more likely to be jailed for a social media post than in Russia. So,
wow.
Is that true? What's the source?
The source that I got is Konstantin Kisin from the what's it called, the Trigonometry podcast. He said you're 8 times more likely to be jailed for social media posts in Britain versus Russia. I mean, and the UK would say that they have free speech. right? In Russia, they don't even. I don't think they would even say, "Oh, yes, we have free speech in Russia." I think most Russians know that there are things you can't say, and if you do say certain things, that you might get thrown off a building or whatever.
Yeah, you'll disappear.
Yeah, but in the UK, they'll say, "No, we have free speech," but yet they jail people for Facebook posts, and it's a lot of them. I think like 400 people. Last year in 2000, this was in 2018 that it was. In 2018, 400 people in Russia were jailed, and I believe, let's see, where is it? 3,300 in the UK.
No more rule Britannia, huh?
No.
What a fall from grace from global hegemon colonizing all of the world. I believe it was the first major empire to abolish slavery.
Yeah. Well, not the first. It was like the first empire at all. They were the first human beings to abolish slavery. And they went around the world and did it. Like, it wasn't just the UK. It wasn't just like, Britain that it happened in. It was all of the colonies.
Mm-hmm.
So they were, on the cutting edge of that.
And now you get arrested for talking shit on Facebook over there accordingly.
Go to prison.
Which is absurd. And you'd think that the people in charge, like politicians, you'd think that they would be embarrassed by this. You'd think that the rest, they would think, well, the rest of the world is looking at us, but they it seems like it doesn't affect them or doesn't faze them.
Do you think, Phil, that what's happening around the world with moves like this is that aliens have taken over our governments and are trying to prevent us from reaching the moon and Mars?
I mean, I think that my take on whether or not there have been aliens here. So no, I don't think it's aliens.
I think the aliens are actually happy for us to reach galactic status, but we're just screwing up ourselves.
Yeah, I think it is. Definitely think that it's human beings. I think that aliens have not reached Earth at all, personally.
I don't know, man. I heard stories,
From Shane?
Yeah.
I love Shane. He's so much fun. You should all tune in.
It's funny because
Inverted World Live at 10 p.m. tonight.
It's like a cognitive test when I say stupid things on Twitter, and then the media reports it as if it's fact. And my favorite is when liberals do it. There was one time I tweeted, it should be illegal to believe in God, and then I tweeted immediately, it should be illegal to not believe in God. And these liberals posted it on Reddit, and they were like, Tim Pool's so dumb, can you believe it? And I just love looking at the comments from people who are like, please, for the love of God, he posted both. He's screwing with you. You're falling for his trap. But they don't listen because they're too dumb. And I'm just sitting back being like, joke's on you. I was just pretending to be retarded.
You are retarded.
Retarded for believing it or not seeing that it was a joke, yeah.
Well, yeah, but the reason I did those tweets, I literally explained why I was doing them. I said, I can put these two tweets out that are inversions of each other, and only one is going to echo out in each space. And the liberals, of course, took the one that was cannon fodder for them and decided they hate me despite not actually following me or knowing anything about me. And it's just fake tribal cult BS. The right didn't do that. The left did. And that's where we're at right now. So when I look at the UK, it really does seem to me like whether it's behavioral sync, like the rat utopia, or there is some powerful force saying we need to retard the development of the UK, they're moving down a path that will just destroy their culture.
I mean, the left has been in
society.
The left has been in charge for 30 years. Even the right wing in the UK is very left leaning. They don't have a competent, actual conservative party. The conservatives in the UK are like Democrats here.
Have you seen Kingsman?
Pardon me?
Have you seen Kingsman?
Yeah, I saw it a while ago. Yes.
Have you seen Kingsman? Mm-hmm. Good movie. And the funny thing is, at the end, it turns out that the British, Arthur, who was leading the Kingsmen, actually was a bad guy too.
Yep.
Because when the bad guy explained to him what was going on in the world and what they were going to do, he went, you know what, you're right. And so, for those who don't know the movie, a tech billionaire he believes that the earth is overheating because it's got a virus, which is humans, and humans need to be purged. And so this tech billionaire wants to to purge a lot of regular people all around the world. And there's an unaffiliated private secret service called Kingsman. There's secret agents that stop bad guys from destroying the world. And it turns out the guy who runs it actually agrees with the tech billionaire who wants to cull the planet and secretly helps them do it. And then a rogue agent, the main character, ends up shutting them down. But the point is, could it be as simple as the bad guys go to King Charles and say, we want to kill as many of your people as possible because there's too many people on the planet? And he goes, okay, you're right. And that's what we get. Or I should say that's what the UK gets.
Well, some people would say that was the nexus of COVID, and people like our tech billionaire, Mr. Microsoft.
Bill Gates.
Some of the things that he pushes. I'm not eating bugs, Bill. I'm just not. I'm from down south. I know that you said, bacon is overrated. Don't ever go down to Georgia and say bacon is overrated, okay?
Oh, man, bacon's great. We got a spot over here, Cider Press, this restaurant in the area.
Great.
And they have bacon-wrapped apples.
I think they're going to start making smash burgers again as well.
They don't have smash burgers?
No, I actually have. They'll make them for you if you ask
really?
for it. I specifically was like, would you make a smash burger? And they're like, yeah. And they talked about bringing them back on the menu.
And, smash the onions right into it? Mm-hmm. I'm going to tell them to do that.
It's awesome. They're super good.
Interesting. See, the secret to a smash burger is to smash the burger.
Yeah.
And then it makes it crispy.
Yeah, you gotta let it cook long enough too. That's one thing that a lot of places don't do. They don't let them actually build up that crust on the outside.
That's right.
From cooking it from
char.
You gotta have that hot grill too.
I want to talk about this. We got one more segment. This is the Great Labubu Heist. $30,000 of stolen Labubus recovered in major California bust. Outstanding teamwork in bringing this case to a close. I think Labubus, I don't think they're demonic. And I think it's these liberals. These liberals are putting out this thing where take a look at this. Fans burn Labubu toys, fear they resemble demon Pazuzu, sparking lively debate in China, and it's happening here, where people are claiming, conservatives, that Labubus are demonic, and I don't think they're literally demonic, but there are conservatives that are burning Labubus because they think it's Pazuzu. But it is cringe demonic in the figurative sense that women are replacing, they're like Mary Morgan talks about this. The desire to have babies has been replaced by these little gremlin dolls and cats.
That's
and
weird.
Cats.
That's weird. So
very
they want
weird.
a gremlin doll instead of having a child.
I mean, it's cringe. But what's really funny too? Remember when women were buying those thermoses?
Oh yeah,
What were those things
the
called?
Stanley Cups. Yeah.
Stanley Cups. When I first heard that women wanted a Stanley Cup, I was like an NHL thing? I was like, isn't that what you get when you win this? Isn't that what it is?
My first thought was
Stanley Cup.
My first thought was the tool manufacturing company Stanley, because they make tool. There's a company called Stanley.
Don't they also make those cups?
I don't know. Are they
Yeah,
same company?
same
Oh,
company,
okay,
yeah.
all right, okay.
The Stanley Cup was NHL, and I was like, women really love hockey, I guess. And then I was like, oh, they're just fighting each other and beating each other in the face because they want a cup.
Yeah.
What? What's going on with women, dude? Labubus? Stanley Cups?
I think it's just something that they use as an excuse to be pissed off at each other.
I think it's a replacement for personality. It's like, oh, you don't have any depth to your personality. Oh, I have a big jug of water that I drink from. Oh, look at these. What are they? Little collectible dolls, essentially.
Yeah, they're gremlins.
Little gremlin dolls.
You know why? Why they say that women like cats so much, and that childless women have a bunch of cats? Because cats trigger something similar in the human mind that babies do by having big eyes and little faces.
Neonotony.
Is that what it's called? What is it called?
Neonotony.
Neonotony. Oh, I get it. Like neo, like baby. Yeah.
I do think there's a weird trend of people in their 20s and 30s getting a dog to sort of replace that urge, I think, to take care of something. Especially in New York, dog parks are full of young women with their puppies. I don't know, maybe looking for mates or maybe just
I think
filling the void with a dog.
While conservatives would say that Labubus are demonic and they're symbols of Pazuzu, I would actually just argue that this, along with all the other phenomenon, is figuratively demonic in that humans are no longer having babies and fertility is not recovering. Aside from the fact that fertility isn't recovering, smaller generations beget smaller generations. So if the fertility rate of millennials is 1.5, right?
Yeah, you need 2.1.
Indeed. Then millennials are going to make 60 million. Well, actually, the fertility rate of millennials was 1, which is insane. That is, there's 80 million millennials and 40 million Gen Alpha. So millennials, who are largely having the Gen Alpha, had only 1 kid. Fertility is still dropping. So when Gen Alpha comes of age in the next several years, so maybe in 5 to 10 years is when they'll start reaching the age of having kids. I think the oldest Gen Alpha is 15. So in about 5 years, you're going to have 20-year-olds. If their fertility rate drops even lower, 40 million, then the next generation. So you're going to have Gen Z next, and their fertility rate is dropping. So Gen Alpha will be 40 million. Then Gen Beta is going to be 25 million. And what comes after Beta? Delta? Charlie? Well, but I don't know if they're going by the...
Oh, they're not going by... Okay.
The phonetic alphabet.
So it'll be Delta.
Would it be Delta? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Then Generation Delta is going to be, what, 10 million? And then we're going to be living in small villages, and every major city will have collapsed. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah, it's this phenomenon we're really seeing across the first world, and pretty much everywhere but Nigeria and India, I believe, are struggling with this issue. And how it plays out is going to be fascinating, because in 50 years, most of the planet will be Nigerians and Indians. I believe there's one other African country that does have that population curve like that. So unless there is some resurgence of seemingly religious people, I don't really know where this is heading, because I think it's the Amish right now that are particularly one of the only groups that are really increasing in population. It's religious people who have more children.
Have the outlaw birth control.
It's Gamma, then Delta.
Gamma.
Okay.
Alpha, Beta, Gamma, Delta, Epsilon, Zeta. Eta, Theta, Iota, Kappa, Lambda, Omega.
Outlaw birth control, outlaw abortion.
And
Doesn't even matter.
Democrats' solution to this is immigration, by the way. And the Republicans, it seems, are struggling to get an answer to how to deal with this problem.
But what if we banned Labubus just because I hate them?
I mean,
You could say the right's answer is banning abortion and access to abortion to try to produce more babies.
I just said
Or
Yeah, you just said
forced birth.
now you're getting into... Yeah, no.
Yeah, like Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah,
You know?
I was just going to say.
You know what's funny about Handmaid's Tale? Is it Handmaiden's Tale?
Handmaids.
Handmaids?
Yeah, I think it's handmade.
You know what's really funny is, like, the premise of that story is that civilization has completely collapsed and humans are about to go extinct, and the women are angry that they have to have kids. It's like, well, you can go extinct, I guess. Like, what would you expect any species to do? Any intelligent species facing extinction is going to be like, we have no choice. We have to have kids. And they were like, no, you can't make me. And it's like, then we all die. What?
I do think that women do invest more into having children than men do. Obviously, they make a lot more sacrifices. And on a societal level, I think we need to put women on a pedestal and sort of praise them for the sacrifices they make for
Would you make the argument that we don't currently put women on a pedestal?
I think we've been pushing the idea of equality way too much, and we're truly not equal between the genders. So long as we continue to push equality, then no, we're really not.
How old are you?
I'm 31.
Okay. I was wondering if you're a Gen Z or a millennial. So you're
I'm
millennial.
I'm like in between.
You're a millennial.
You're millennial.
Yeah, you're a millennial.
I feel washed up. I feel really
Young
old.
millennial.
Very young millennial.
I feel
like
old.
I feel very old. Yeah.
What the heck did that say about me?
You look like you're in better shape than I am, though. So I'll give that. At least you got that.
It's true. It's true.
At least you got that going.
So I think that if you're saying the government should have policies that incentivize children and incentivize men and women staying together and incentivize families, I think that I'm with you, because I've said that a bunch of times on the show. We shouldn't have policies that favor LGBTQ families or alternative families or whatever. You know, we shouldn't be centering the margins. We should be focusing on normal families.
Traditional nuclear families,
men and women and kids. And there should be significant benefits that the government provides.
Child tax credits.
I don't think it should be a government-oriented program. I think it needs to be a cultural thing. I think if you're trying to have government increase your birth rates, then you're
but the
fighting a
government,
losing battle.
The government came in and Lyndon Johnson and destroyed the black family. And I mean, that cannot be debated. When you're saying that the government is going to give checks to women for having children out of wedlock, now you see all the problems you have within the inner city communities. Look, I was born in 1961. And that time, the black family was traditional nuclear black family was somewhere between 75 to 77%. Today, that's 24%. And so you already have had government programs that have done everything to undermine the traditional nuclear family. And look at the adverse, just degenerate effects that it has had in so many ways. So, I mean, I just think that we definitely should not have a government that seeks to undermine the family.
Yeah.
But we should definitely say that we want everybody knows that a kid that has that mother and father, that stable home, has a better chance of success in our country. That's what we should be focused on.
Since 1973, the year that the Roe v. Wade decision was made, there have been 63.6 million abortions. Yeah. That is the government incentivizing abortion.
25 million in the black community.
It's allowing people access to abortion. I don't think is incentivizing abortion.
If the government pays for it.
Well, I don't think is the government paying for most.
$535 million a year will go into Planned Parenthood. Donald Trump has tried to take that away, and guess what? Planned Parenthood and lawyers, leftist lawyers, are suing.
And they got an injunction.
They got an injunction.
I mean, listen, policies that exist are the government incentivizing. When the government decriminalizes marijuana, should that happen? That incentivizes people to start marijuana businesses. Because people want to start businesses.
But that's incentivizing in the
neutral.
sense
I would say that when obvious government incentives is when they tax certain things to try and dissuade people from doing it. So
I don't think that
subsidize, but then they subsidize other things, and then you get more of that.
Yeah.
I don't think this is a government issue. It's an issue for the government, but I don't think it's an issue that the government can fix. If you think the government could geoengineer us increasing our birth rates, it's not going to work out. China's been struggling with it. I don't think so. I think it needs to be a cultural issue. Well, they're not doing it. They're not. Every government around
correct.
Which government is successful in their efforts to? How so?
They subsidized drama TV programs like soap operas that women were heavily influenced by, and they made the characters have babies, and women all of a sudden wanted to have babies. It's kind of like how people were saying if Taylor Swift decides to have a kid, tons of young women are all going to start having kids.
I didn't know it was so simple. We just need to make telenovelas of women getting pregnant all the time, and that's Taylor Swift needs to get pregnant.
Elaad. They're buying Labubus and fighting for cups because people told them to on TikTok. Okay, so if Taylor Swift comes out and says y'all should have babies, they'll do that too.
I think that's oversimplistic and not.
No one said it's absolute, but the trend is
what
real.
I will tell you is that if you looked at the trend of culture was once upon a time you saw mommies and daddies raising kids. I mean, even the show Good Times. You remember the show Good Times? You guys show him Good Times. I mean, they were in government housing. But you still had a mother and father. Remember, Dynamite. You remember that?
I'm sorry.
In Florida.
Yeah, but that's what you had. The Cosby Show. Let's not talk about Cosby later on. But the Cosby Show. The Cosby Show. Yes, he couldn't swim. But the Cosby Show showed a successful, family. Or you look at the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I mean, this kid gets taken out of a bad situation, bad neighborhood, and he comes to a successful black family, his uncle, and he's thriving. And now what do you see on TV? I mean, I get sick of it. All of the shows on HBO, they're all gang banging.
Sorry, did you see the episode of Fresh Prince when Will is talking about how his dad abandoned him?
Yeah, I remember.
Uncle Phil.
Yeah.
And he's all pissed off and he's like acting out. And then Phil gives him a hug and he's like, why don't my dad want me, man? But Uncle Phil was there for him. That show was awesome.
It was awesome.
Not to mention Carlton's dance. Dude.
But I mean,
legendary.
But those are the type of things where culture was promoting a certain aspect of our society. Then all of a sudden, Hollywood and everybody else, the ideology shifted, and you look at the shows. I mean, look, I loved Married with Children. I loved but Al Bundy was a knucklehead.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember growing up seeing shows where the men were knuckleheads.
I don't like Married with Children because he hated his wife. He didn't really hate his wife, but the premise of the show, I understand there was an underlying he did love his wife and his family, and there was like a theme where every episode he's complaining about, oh, my wife, oh, my kids, but then anyone who wronged him, he'd punch him and he'd be like, don't talk, because he loved his family. But
did you ever see The Jeffersons?
No. Sorry, I'm culturally illiterate.
Uncultured. Man.
No Jeffersons, no
Jeffersons.
Fresh Prince I've seen.
It's his age. I'm 50, and I've all these things. I know exactly what you're talking about.
All right, we got to go to your chats, my friend. So smash the like button, share the show with everyone you know. I mean, literally everybody. Go knock on your neighbor's door and be like, we've never met before because people don't talk to the neighbors anymore, but you should watch Timcast IRL. We got a great sponsor before we get your super chats. It's MyPillow. Head over to mypillow.com/Tim. Check it out. Use promo code Tim, and not only can you get pillows at a good rate. What are they offering up with promo code Tim? They're saying you can get this energy drink, Rev 7. That's what they're saying. You want to buy? I have it right here, actually. I actually had this before MyPillow was sponsoring the episodes because it's delicious and it works. What is this called? It's called it's ketones, Go BHB. And Cognizin. And so this is a ketone drink. Exogenous, is that what it's called? I heard Joe Rogan talking about it. No joke. This is real energy drink. I don't like sugar and caffeine. So we got these, and this stuff works, man. So if you go to mypillow.com/Tim, you can get Rev 7 energy drink. You can save up to 30% with a subscription. And use promo code Tim. Not to mention, MyPillow's got everything you need, dude. I sleep with we still have like 50 MyPillows left because we bought hundreds of them. Awesome, by the way. The kids were jumping into the pillow pits, and I use a MyPillow every night because they're legit awesome. And Mike Lindell's a good dude, guys. If you need anything, if you need slippers, if you need pillows, if you need sheets, towels, dog beds, you should be getting all of this from MyPillow. Why? Because Mike Lindell put everything on the line for what he believed in, for you, for MAGA, and they came from and they tried to destroy him. So when you need any of this stuff, I recommend you go to MyPillow, use promo code Tim. Not to mention the Rev 7 energy drink. I seriously do recommend it, that you try it. For me, no joke. If you've ever noticed on some of the morning shows, I might be talking twice as fast as I normally do. It's because I'm drinking it. And quite honestly, right now, perhaps I seem like I'm talking pretty fast throughout this episode. Maybe it's because I'm drinking it. I don't know. And there's no caffeine, no sugar. So shout out, mypillow.com/Tim. Let's get your Rumble rants and super chats. Don't forget the uncensored show's coming up in about 15 minutes at rumble.com/Timcast IRL. You don't want to miss it. All right. Shane H. Wilder says Paxton is working to get O'Rourke arrested for breaking his restraining order. Beto continued to raise funds for the Dems who fled the state. Think old Robert would look good in an orange jumpsuit.
Yeah.
Agreed.
6 months.
Yep.
Can I follow up with you on something now, Mr. West? You're a Texas guy right now, right?
I live in Texas, been there since 2014.
Do you have an opinion on the Paxton-Corden race? Are you leaning one way or another in their primary?
I think it's going to be a very interesting race. The grassroots are not favorable to John Cornyn. But yet Ken Paxton has had some personal issues that, chap people in the wrong way. It's very funny in that Congressman Wesley Hunt, who is down out of Houston, I'm seeing him run ads up in the Dallas area. So I'm wondering if he's thinking about he can, find a way to come in and be a spoiler. The grassroots definitely leans more so to Ken Paxton. If they can do the right thing with this prosecution of these Democrats, I mean, that'll be a big feather in his hat. He just has to overcome some personal issues.
Do you think one or the other would be better for Texas?
We got to read super chats.
Yeah.
So we got Mason. He says, "You were wrong, Tim. The right found out we were fighting a culture war with Gamergate when Zoe Quinn cheated on her boyfriend with 5 game journalists for good reviews on a Ishii game." Is that what it was? Freedom Cherie says, "A man with a gun is a citizen. A man without a gun is a subject." I'm a huge fan of Colonel Allen West. Thank you, sir.
My pleasure.
Right on. All right. Pinochet says, when I am weaker than you, I ask you for freedom because that is according to your principle. When I am stronger than you, I take away your freedom because that is according to my principle. Dune. Is that from the movie Dune?
I love Dune.
I didn't like the movie.
Which one? The old one? The original? Or
I didn't see the old one. I saw the new one when it came out, and it was just miserably bad. It was like watching paint dry or grass grow.
Yeah. You got to go back and look at the old one then.
Maybe the old one was good.
The old one was very...
And here's the other thing, too, younger people need to realize is that, like with Star Wars, the first one, watching a movie like that was unprecedented. Like, this was a new kind of thing. And also, it took years to get a sequel. And here's the other thing. It didn't come out on VHS, I think, for like 4 or 5 years.
Long time.
So it was in theaters nonstop.
Yep.
You'd go and watch it and be like, man, that was awesome. And if you wanted to watch it again, had to go to the theater. That's crazy. Now it's like I pick up my phone, I can watch literally every movie ever made. It's cooking our brains, to be honest. It is cooking our brains. All right, what do we got here? Let's see. Carolyn Clark says, I want to ask Colonel West's opinion on Sheldon Daniels. Does he think Sheldon can beat Crockett and hopefully get her to fade into her political oblivion forever?
Yeah, the new redistricted maps will be very troubling for Jasmine Crockett. As a matter of fact, she no longer is in that district anymore, and I think Sheldon Daniels has a great opportunity. She's embarrassing herself. She's embarrassing Texas.
Yeah, she is. All right, let's see. Drunken Gringo says, Tim, buy Independent, save them. They only make $5 million per year revenue. What? Revenue? That's really bad. And they abandoned their brand, so they're worth nothing. If you look behind me at that symbol right there, where it says uncancelable, this is the logo for a company called Independent, one of the most iconic skateboard companies in the world for some 70 or so years, until a few years ago when they got called racist, because that was their logo. So what did they do? They removed it from every product and their website and apologized for being racist. So I said, that logo now belongs to me and Booney's HQ and the Timcast Skateboard Company. And I began selling boards with that logo. We've been doing it for years. That logo is mine. I own it. And I dare anyone to try and take it from me. I will not let iconic skateboard culture be destroyed by woke psychopaths. Now, is that true? They only make $5 million in revenue per year? Yikes. We probably could buy them. Jeez. But it depends on what their profit margin is. I bet it's super slim. That's crazy if they're making that little. This is an Olympic sport, right? Things are going to get crazy in 3 years because the Olympics are coming to LA and skateboarding is going to be a huge part of it. And there's going to be billions of dollars pumped into this sport. And I was talking to Jason Ellis, who we had on the show recently. And he's going to be skating with the Boonies crew, getting a pro model, and he's going to ride for the team. We're really excited. He's awesome. I told him, bro, if we don't get a handle on this, skateboarding is going to be a bunch of 15-year-old Asian kids in unitards with the shoes sewn into the unitard. And I'm not joking. And he laughed. He's like, no way, man. That can't happen. And I'm like, bro, the industry is dead. There's no young people in the United States. In Japan and China, it's taking off like crazy. And the Chinese government does not care what you think looks cool. They want to win gold medals at the Olympics. They will make these kids wear unitards that say China on it, and the shoes will be sewn into the little booties. And you're going to be like, haha, they look dumb. And they're going to say, we don't care. We win gold every time. And America will get washed out. That's where we're going. All right. Insert clever name here. Says former cop of 10 plus years, or it says 10 plus. I'm assuming it means years. Female cops have a place. They excel in child crimes, domestic violence crimes, and sex crimes. They talk their way out of fights more often. Interesting.
If you insist.
Eric Shaver says, of course you're mixed race, Tim. How do you think you got your job? However, if you ever go to prison, they're going to teach you something about yourself. Well, I don't know what that means, but it is true that when Mossad and AIPAC were trying to hire me, or were trying to hire someone to run this show, they were like, he's mixed race, he fits the DI quota, and then they hired me, and now I have to confer with Elaad whenever we do a show if we're allowed to talk about certain subjects.
Oy vey.
We didn't touch Israel one time this episode.
Yeah, we did.
You mentioned them.
I did. I talked about Hamas and Israel.
That's right. And Elaad, for some reason, didn't take the bait.
I've been trying to avoid the topic. We talk about Israel enough.
All right.
Still
anyway.
protesting about the videos that we made in the after show yesterday.
It's funny because right now there's someone on Twitter watching, and they're watching the show, and they're like, Tim Pool just admitted it.
Yep.
Hey, we got him. Yeah. All right. It is really funny how these leftists are like, how does Tim Pool make? When I was flying around the country covering protests, there were conspiracy theories that I was working for USAID and the CIA because they were like, how does Tim Pool afford to fly across the country? And I was like, that plane ticket was $83. Like, American Eagle regional flights are like $80.
Spirit Airlines.
Yeah, like what do you? I don't know.
How can you afford a plane ticket, Tim? Good
That's what
Lord.
they were saying. They didn't believe it.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. All right. Let's see what we got here. Coned says, Colonel West's smackdown of the liberal girl asking him if he identifies as black is an all-time favorite. Unfortunately, a sign of how insane a lot of the left really is. I remember that. Yeah.
2016 Northwestern University.
Yeah. Identify as black. Yeah. They went nuts. You ever see the video of the young white college student yelling at a black cop that he's a white supremacist because he's supporting the police?
Yeah.
And he's like an older black guy, and he's like, I lived through civil rights. What are you talking about? Like, but these brainwashed Marxists, man, they don't know what they're talking about. Let's see what we got here. Raymond G. Stanley Jr. says, dude, I've been super chatting since 2022 that we should give 0 Fs the Dems and leftists say. We need to forge ahead on our own narrative, not let them. Indeed. All right, what have we here? Ethan Stolp says, it's so bad, EBT is now accepted at McDonald's. What? That's not possible. Is that true? Because
it could be somewhere.
Hot food's not allowed. Yeah, somewhere maybe, but I'm pretty sure in most states, at least as far as I know, hot food isn't allowed to be purchased with EBT.
Of course it is. You go to a lot of these convenience stores, you can go in and get, it says EBT accepted here.
Yeah, but that's cold products. So like,
No. I mean, if they got like the little taco stands or
I'm pretty sure you can.
I'm telling you,
I've gotten EBT before in Illinois and in Washington, and you were not allowed to get it.
No, I'm telling you, if you go into some of these places, I bet you can go and get whatever you want. Those convenience stores, get you a dadgum corn dog, whatever. Chat GPT ain't gonna answer because they don't know about Roscoe's Corner Store.
So it's called the Restaurant Meals Program for Elderly, Disabled, and Homeless SNAP recipients. You are allowed to get hot food purchases. Interesting. That's crazy. McDonald's. How about this? I got an idea. No more food stamps.
I mean, I love the idea, but
it's government subsidy of bad food.
But if you could go back to the original intent, yes. But the original intent, we've gotten so far away from it. It was supposed to be about good, healthy, nutritious food, American-grown food. So you were helping our farmers and you were helping people to stay healthy. And now I don't think we can get back to what the original intent was.
I think we should go beyond the no sugary drinks thing. And I think that if you're receiving food benefits, we would save a lot of money and improve the system if instead of giving someone a card they could go buy their food with, it was actually the post office would include a food package delivery of goods to the recipients themselves. And so the truck would pull up and you'd get a bag for the week, and it would be whole grain oats, a bag of rice, and maybe some powdered milk. And they'd be like, this is better for you than anything you'd buy, saves everybody money. This is what you get.
I ain't problems with it.
That's what I say. And then the liberals are like, shouldn't poor people get to eat what other people get to eat? And I'm like, no, because I work and I get luxuries from working. Poor people don't deserve luxuries by virtue of being a human.
Yeah, like should poor people get caviar because there are people that get caviar? There's no reason for poor people to be buying
There are people that are using those EBT cards to buy lobster.
Caviar's overrated anyway.
Well, I'm just thinking of something expensive. That's
like you go to I've been to a couple of restaurants that had caviar, and it's good, but it's not worth the money. It's like, just give me a steak. Like,
poor people shouldn't be eating ribeyes. How about that? Or filet?
I disagree. You can get a filet for cheap. It's not that bad. They got tenderloin at the little farmer markets out here, and they're not expensive. For like $20, you can get a little thing of tenderloin.
Can you get or do they take EBT?
No, the farms don't take EBT.
I kind of figured they don't. You know,
I think Aldi's does.
Aldi's does, yeah. You get a big old rack of ribs. You get a big old rack of ribs at Aldi's. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Aldi's really improved the quality of their food too.
Totally.
Yeah, because that's the only place I used to go to when I was a kid. Because peanut butter's peanut butter. I don't need name brand. Yep. We don't want to waste time on that stuff. But their cheese was miserably bad. It was disgusting. It was not cheese. Now it's really good. Now I'm surprised how good it is. Like, actually, it's like good deli cheese and meat. Yeah, and it's cheap. It's real cheap. I don't get it. Why do people go anywhere else?
Oh, Wegmans is the top tier supermarket. Come on, Aldi's. No, whenever I can, I go out of my way to go to Wegmans.
But Wegmans is like a country. It's like not a grocery store. It's like you're going into a country.
And there's not any.
That's how I like it.
There's not any that are close by either.
There's one like 30 minutes, I guess, from.
If you go to like there is
one in Frederick.
I believe there's a Publix that's going to be opening in Winchester, and my girlfriend is super excited about that because she's.
But they're just regular grocery store. Publix.
She says they're good. She likes them. She's like, that's the thing I miss the most about Florida is I don't get to go to Publix.
Publix owns Florida.
But Wegmans is where it's massive, and you go in there and it's just like you get lost, and you're like, this is crazy. This store is too big. They have all of them.
How about Whole Foods? Y'all got a Whole Foods up here close?
No, not close.
No, they're all right though. Meh. Amazon's. Yeah. Oh, that's right. It's Amazon now. Yeah. I was once at a Whole Foods, and Jason Schwartzman was there, and he had a gaggle of people just following him around the Whole Foods, and it was the creepiest thing I've ever seen. It was in New York. Weird. I was like, dude, it's just that's crazy. But celebrity, and they were like just like fat people just taking pictures of him, and like The dude was buying groceries, man. It's so weird.
Yeah.
People are creepy. All right. Raymond G. Stanley Jr. says, I love that cop video. They're the real ones. Yup. I love what those cops are doing in D.C. That was great. They're like, hey, just want to let you know, like, don't do this. You're not allowed to do it. We're not going to ruin anyone's life over this stuff. It's like, that's cool. That's the way you do it.
Hey, just so you guys know, you can only have 2 ounces. Don't go above 2 ounces. 3 ounces, we might have to arrest you guys. 2 ounces, you guys are in the good.
If you're holding 2 and you're holding 2, you're fine. But if you hold both bags at the same time, we're going to ask you to hand the other bag to that guy.
Yeah, and you can only give your buddy up to 1 ounce, la-di-da. If you give him more than an ounce, we might decide to arrest you guys.
That's so much more.
All right.
So much.
Eddie Gonzalez says, longtime viewer, first-time super chatter. Keeping with the tradition, I'm watching from the hospital alongside my wife and our 3rd child. Please welcome Elijah James Gonzalez to the world.
Awesome.
Congratulations.
Good for you.
Right on. Babies. Have them. More babies. All right. We'll grab one before we jump to the members-only portion. Revive Cold Brew says, why is this hard? Women are social creatures. Society said don't have kids. They didn't have kids. If society promotes it and says it's the best thing ever, women will move that way. Fact. This is what happened in Brazil. The telenovela, whatever you call them, soap operas, they started having the women have kids, and all of a sudden young women were like, ooh, I want to have a kid. I want to have a kid. What you tell women to be girl bosses, and they say, I have to be a girl boss because they want to fit in socially. Mm-hmm. All right, everybody, we're gonna go to that members-only portion of the show at rumble.com/Timcast IRL. So don't miss it. Sign up. Join the Discord server at timcast.com if you want to call in and talk to us and our guest, and I know you do. So timcast.com, click join us. You can follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast. Colonel West, do you want to shout anything out?
Hey, follow us at the American Constitutional Rights Union, theacru.org, and also follow my writings on Substack.
Right on.
Hey, everybody. I'm Elaad Eliyahu, the White House correspondent here at Timcast. You can follow me on all social medias at Elaad Eliyahu. Mr. West, this was a great episode.
It's my pleasure to be
wonderful to have the opportunity to have a conversation with you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. I am Phil That Remains on Twix. The band is All That Remains. You can follow us on Apple Music, Amazon Music, Spotify, Pandora, and Deezer. Don't forget the left lane is for crime.
We're all going to head over to rumble.com/Timcast IRL for that uncensored portion of the show. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see y'all there in about 30 seconds.